seriously upon ourselves, so that it's not like nature controlling us, it's us controlling what happens. Thank you so much, and I believe with this kind of partnership, we can make sure that there are less or no crashes on our roads. So thank you so much, Mr. Kenya.
Thank you very much, Engineer Samuel Mugo, for highlighting road safety improvements in the devolution context. Now, I'd also like to appreciate and acknowledge the presence of the Parliamentary Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing, together with their Secretariat. Our next presenter is from Kenya Urban Roads Authority, whose core mandate is the management, development, rehabilitation and maintenance of national urban trunk roads. Karibu sana Engineer Kinoti, Director General for KURA.
Good afternoon all. I'm going to take through a presentation on mainstreaming of road safety management in urban roads. Before that, I want to tell you something little about KURA. KURA, we are mandated to manage what we call national urban roads, and we work very closely with the county governments. As you know, roads have been devolved in two functions, that is the national trunk roads and county roads. And KURA will focus on what we call national urban trunk roads. I know some of you don't know that as KURA, we are doing roads in all corners of this country. And I can tell you that we did the first tarmac road in Lamu County since the world was created. That is the Mokoe Township roads. We are also doing roads in Mandera, we are doing roads in all over. I know there's no county where we are not working. Recently we moved into Kajiado County and Narok County, which counties our presence was not there. So we exist as KURA to enhance your mobility in urban areas. I know all of you come from, either you live in a town or from the village, you come to town. How you move when you come to town, that is our business. So we exist to ensure that you move well, to enhance your mobility when you're in urban areas. And so, all protocols observed, the chair of the NTSA, the board members, the DGs and CEOs present, the CEC members here present, all delegates, good morning once again. So I look at the main objectives of road safety mainstreaming. So we have all road safety programs and policies are to ensure that all road safety programs and policies are integrated in all ministries, departments, agencies, and departments of national government and county levels. That is the whole essence of mainstreaming the road safety, that all programs you are doing at all levels of government will make sure that we capture issues of road safety, knowing that road safety is a shared responsibility. It therefore requires orchestrated effort of all of us to ensure that all our efforts must be brought together for us to be able to bring on board issues of road safety. You realize that the government has integrated road safety in the performance contracts. For us who have signed performance contracts with the government, know very well that there are specific targets which we have signed and we have to achieve them. For us in KURA, we know we are struggling to ensure that we achieve those targets. One of them is maybe public awareness, doing a lot of road marking of roads here and there. This is because the government has realized that through the performance contracting process, there is a lot of efficiency in how the government delivers the services. And we have to report to NTSA on how our targets are being achieved. So this clearly shows the importance of mainstreaming and how government is ensuring that we do that. We know 90% of global road traffic fatalities occur in emerging economies, or what you call low income economies. Will tell us, I don't know in Kenya, are we low income, are we an emerging economy? But we are just somewhere there. And this scenario is not strange also in Kenya. We are experiencing all those things because of lack of adequate NMC facilities. But as Kura, what we are doing is that we want to ensure that it is mandatory. Every time we do a road, every time we are designing a road, at all road levels, we ensure that we incorporate issues of non-motorized traffic, that is NMTs, to just improve on the safety of the road. For those of us who have seen our work across the towns, unless we have an issue of limited space, we actually make sure that we have walkways, and where possible, we have even cycle lanes. We are doing this in Nairobi now, on James Gishoro Road, on other roads. But what I'm simply saying is that we are focusing to ensure that we are not doing roads for motorized traffic. We're also doing roads for non-motorized traffic. So far, if I can go to our data, as Kura, we have constructed more than 1,000 kilometers of walkways across the country. Nairobi alone could take about maybe half of those, and so that we ensure that the safety of the people who walk on those roads is enhanced. It is known clear that over 50% of our population, especially in urban areas, they walk to work, and taking care of their safety is very important. That's what we are focusing on as Kura. We also have vandalism or absence of road furniture, and this is something you have taken on board. Putting a lot of road furniture, road marking all over, and I know one of our PC targets is to mark several kilometers of roads to ensure that the roads are safe. But this issue of vandalism, issue of road furniture not being on the roads, is a continuous process, and we have to work with all other stakeholders to ensure that we deal with this issue of destruction of road furniture on our roads. The other day, we had even the government actually nationally banning the use of scrap metal. It was because we push very, very hard as the road agencies, because you are suffering a lot, losing almost 50 million shillings almost on a daily basis because of vandalism. And I know the government is taking up specific measures to ensure this is controlled and regulated. How do we incorporate road safety in road design? The performance of any road network depends on three things. One of them is the function it was created to do, or function it was designed to do. The other issue is how it was constructed. It is a road. The physical aspect, how is it constructed? Then the other issue is how it is being used. You can design a very good road, but how you construct it, you can make it unsafe. You can also design a very good road, you construct it very well, but how you use it, it makes it unsafe. So those three things are very well related, and we are looking at now, as Kura, how we incorporate that. We do designs of non-motorized traffic designs. We do street designs, so that we are trying to separate people who are walking and cycling from the motorized traffic to ensure that they are safe. We are also embracing the safe systems approach to road safety. It is being displayed all over here. When we are talking of a safe approach, it's a systematic, multidisciplinary, and multi-sectoral. You cannot achieve this alone, which addresses the safety needs of all road users. It's a safe, in a safe system approach, mobility is a function of safety and not the other way around. If you think about moving, you think about safety first. In Kura, we have kind of a slogan we normally use when we are doing our roads. We normally say, safety first, quality of the road comes second, and then the quantity, what you produce, comes number 3. So we have prioritized safety as our number 1 aspect you consider when you are doing our roads. And number 2 is the quality of that road. And number 3 now comes the number of kilometers which you do. If you do many kilometers of roads, if they are not safe and they are not of good quality, then they are of no use to our customers, and that is you who use the roads. Okay, if you look at the way forward for us, is the current state of accidents in Kenya roads calls for allocation of more funds in both technical and key authorities in the transport sector that deal directly with road safety interventions. The issue of funding, how do we are sitting down here, coming out with programs, coming out with the solutions on how to deal with road safety, but if you don't finance that, then you'll be able to implement. We have road safety audits. I'm not sure whether there is an institution in Kenya which trains road safety auditors, either engineers or any other people who are doing road safety audit. We need to embrace a culture of training in road safety audits right from the beginning, even at the degree level, even as technical diploma or certificate level, so that when you are doing a road, designs are audited for safety, constructions are audited for safety, and even the usage of the road is also audited for safety. The capacity of road safety auditors needs to be enhanced, and we should put in place policies that make it mandatory for road projects to include road safety audits. And this is now where we need to work very closely with the NTSA to ensure that for any road we are doing, the safety audits are mandatory. And whatever gaps are seen there, they are properly implemented. Then we need also to establish goals to strengthen the relationship between transport and urban development. Engineer Mogo has mentioned that we have that issue of how we develop and how do we then ensure that we make sure that the transport is integrated. We normally ask for what we call traffic needs assessments when we are doing developments. But how we get them, we approve those development plans, but how the implementation, the monitoring, to ensure that the traffic management plan is implemented, I think we need to be more serious on that. Also, we need to identify high-risk areas in our cities and towns and see how we can improve issues of road safety there, by maybe putting proper road signs, putting bumps, standard bumps, so that we can be able to slow down the speed of road, and then also disrupting high-speed culture with street designs, ensuring that culture of, how would somebody move at a speed of even 50 kilometers per hour on Moi Avenue in Nairobi, and it happens. It's a culture issue. We need to see how we can deal with that as an aspect of improving safety on our roads. Then we need to adopt a proactive approach to predict and prevent road crashes. What I'm saying here is that we look beyond the crash points. Now we are depending on the data we have. We say an area like Salga or an area like Outer Ring Road, it is very dangerous because we have data, people have died there. But it's not every time that an accident will occur on Outer Ring. It can occur on a road which you have not identified as an hotspot. So we need to look at a risk-based assessment approach on how we deal with road safety. We look forward. Let's look at preventing these accidents before they happen. Let's not focus on now where we have black spots. We need to look ahead and intervene before accidents happen. That's what I mean by that proactive approach. Make it risk-based. We have the data. We can correlate that data and then be able to identify how we can prevent those accidents before they happen. I want to give an example here of a town in Brazil called Fortaleza. This town has won international recognition for its strategy to reducing traffic fatalities. The city won the 2019 Sustainable Transport Award from ITTP, and in 2020, they also won the Vision Zero for Youth Leadership and Award of FIA Foundation, basically by how they have been able to reduce accidents. In the decade of action for road safety, there was a move, and it was one of the SDGs, the DG NTSA displayed here, to reduce fatalities in a town by half. This town was able to achieve that by reducing their fatalities from 14.9 deaths per 100,000 to around 7.4 within a span of 10 years. And that is what that Sustainable Development Goal wants us to do. There are very few cities which have achieved this. And what have they done? Very simple. They have gone to those steps: street transformation, that is route redesigning, putting of walkways, separating traffic, anything we are doing. We are also doing that. But why are we not achieving results? We are doing walkways, we are doing even separating, grade separation, walkways and all that. They did it and they achieved it. Traffic calming measures, we are installing bumps all over, rubbles all over. We are putting stop signs and all that. Why not achieving results? Then designing pedestrian crossings. What we are trying to say is now the current street design requires the vehicles to move up, the pedestrians to come down, because the vehicles are motorized. So then it's easier for them to move up. The issue there, the era of having no pedestrian crossings or footbridges, that's what we are trying to run away from. That's what we are saying now. We design our pedestrian crossings and the modernizing of traffic light systems. Kula is doing this one very keenly. We are actually the first institution, I can say, in East and Central Africa to do what we call intelligent traffic management system. If you come to Barabara Plaza, which is that floor, we will show you what we mean. We are managing seven junctions of as a pilot in Nairobi. Area Center, going that way all the way to Lafta Road. And for those of you who live in Nairobi and know how the Area Center junction used to be before we did intelligent traffic lighting system there used to be our police post there to manage traffic. They had even done a race ramp so the police can be able to manage traffic there. It used to be the most congested junction in Nairobi. But I want to challenge you. If you see a policeman there, just call me, current, now as it is. Because it is being managed in a very intelligent way. And we want to roll out this program in Nairobi in a very big way. We are targeting to doing around over 120 junctions. We already have secured funding for this. And this is going to improve how Nairobi traffic moves. Apart from enhancing traffic movement, we also want issues of safety to be managed. And we need to work very closely with all the stakeholders here, especially the police, NTSA, to ensure we digitize so that we are able to control traffic and also improve on safety. We are also now, what they did also is speed limit reductions in other roads, and safety checkpoints and media campaigns, especially targeting motorcycles, who account for the largest share of traffic fatalities and serious injuries. If you look at all those bullets there, we have done all that. We are doing it ourselves. Why are we not achieving also that reduction in our fatalities? So we are here to discuss that and find out where is the gap. What is that what we are doing or not doing, so that we can be like Fortaleza, which we are able to achieve that 50% reduction in fatalities in 10 years. So I challenge all of us here to ensure that whatever we discuss, our focus is within the next 10 years, we reduce the number of fatalities by 50%. I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, DG Kura. Let's appreciate that presentation again once more. Hearty claps. Thank you so much for the insights. Sometimes it is such forums really give us an opportunity to even understand some of the things that we see on the road and we don't even know who has done this. It's really amazing to see that there are junctions in our city where you even don't see a police officer. I mean, that is really big time. That is really powerful. And we really look forward to more recommendations coming through. And you can see from the presentation that DG has given and the other presenters as well, the clarion call is really collaboration. That is the clarion call. And other than that, how do we fund these interventions? That's the elephant in the room. How do we sustainably fund some of these interventions? I think as we go into other deeper discussions during the plenaries, we should be able now to really come up with solutions, way forward, how to raise some of these resources to support both development, ensuring safety on our roads. So that is really a good pointer in our discussions. Now, we will put a short break to our discussions this afternoon. And before we invite the same presenters to in a panel session, we are reliably informed that our chief guest has actually arrived. He's within the precincts of this hotel. So perhaps as he catches up, and once he gets here, we should be able to do that we didn't do. The official, formal opening of this particular conference. Without such a blessing, sometimes it's not very interesting. So we look forward to that session. Anytime our PS will be arriving, and with his entourage, and then we kick off the formal and official opening of this event. And thereafter, we shall break for lunch. Thereafter, then come back for serious discussions now, very deeper discussions in our plenary session. So what I will urge you is that if you have any concerns from the presentations, right from the first one up to the one that DG Kura has just presented, please take note. Take notes of the concerns, questions, just put them somewhere. So they come back for the plenary, we will push those questions to the presenters and be able to have a discussion. The whole idea in this conference is just to have a conversation around these issues. There's no monopoly of ideas. I mean, we all have come here, I'm sure, with a suggestion here, a suggestion there, and that's really what we want to harness. That's what we want to put together and move this road safety agenda to the next levels. So keep writing those notes. Our Twitter handles, call them Twitter. Our Twitter handles are live, I'm told, and other social media platforms. Please keep pushing anything you have on those social media platforms. We have I'm informed that our Twitter handles are live and other social media platforms, the Facebook and all that, they're all alive. So keep pushing any information, any concerns, any questions to those handles, and we'll be able to respond to them accordingly. That will be so good. So prepare your questions, concerns, and let's have a very lively afternoon session during the plenary. Remember the theme of this event, right up here. We are trying to look at how do we accelerate road safety in this country through digitization, partnerships, it's collaboration. That's what we are seeking here. I think the era of blame game is now over. The era of pointing fingers at who has not done what was done is no longer the thing these days. We are more in collaboration, we are more in partnership, we are more in helping one another. And that's the whole idea we have in this forum. So we'll be able to really get some of your views on how do we strengthen this partnership, this collaboration. How do we sustain that? Good, DJ, you can give us something to relax us and then we'll come back.
I closely watched him, thought how he looked at us. He came to the woman who sat there beside me. He had a strange look on his face. Now his big hands were calloused, looked like a mountain. For a minute I thought I was dead. But he started shaking, his big heart was breaking, and he turned to the woman and said, "You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, with 4 hungry children."
Usana, our chief guest, DJ. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to our chief guest as he makes his way to the forum. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. PS, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Our chief guest, PS, karibu sana. We've really been waiting for you, karibu sana. Sir, with us here, we have a whole family of road safety, road transport safety in this country. We have a whole mix of both government and non-government agencies who have come here today for this 3 days conference. And so the whole idea is just to look at, as a country, where we are in terms of matters, road transport and safety, and just how do we move this country to the next levels. And we've had sessions since morning, and the discussion is really around these issues. So we hope that by the end of the 3 days, we should be able to come up with a resolve to really address some of these challenges. We have one final presentation to make, sir, before we invite you to speak to us this afternoon. Please allow us to just share this presentation, and this will be done by Kenya Roads Board, DG Kenya Roads Board. Karibu sana. Let's give a round of applause as the DG walks the podium.
Hamjambo. Can you hear me, everyone? When the PS came in, the chief guest, he said this is a lecturer's dream because he is a professor. I don't know what politicians will have said today if they came here. Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, with all this crowd. So thank you all for coming. I think you all have heard of Kenya Roads Board. If you look there on your left, okay, I believe left, right. Kenya Roads Board, mnaona pale? There is one difference between us and the road authorities. First, we came before the road authorities. After the road authorities, Kenya Roads Board came. But the word roads is only unique to us. Does anybody know why? Why are we called Kenya Roads Board, not Kenya Urban Roads or Kenya Highways? Anybody here knows the difference between us and the road authorities? The difference is in our mission. If you look at our mission, is to fund, oversee, and coordinate. Then 3 buzzwords: maintenance, rehabilitation, not rehabilitation ya wagonjwa, ya barabara, and development, also of roads. So when Kura does something, they are looking at a very small portion of the network in Kenya. When highways looked at the network and the representative of highways showed you, they are managing about 21,000 kilometers. They are looking at a very small portion of our road network. When you look at Kera, also a small portion. And of course, the bulk of the network is of the county governments. But we at KRB, we have a bird's eye view of the entire road network. The entire road network. And you can go to the next slide, please. What's here? The entire road network. So the entire road network right now, the classified network is about 161,000 kilometers. We have another 85,000 kilometers which we have identified as roads. 50,000 of them being narrow roads, that's roads below 9 meters. And we have about 35,000 of new roads that have been marked. So total network is about 240,000 kilometers. Now all of you here, I'm assuming majority of you do drive. Am I right? Kuna mtu hapa hana gari ama at least unatumia some public transport if you don't have a car. So all of you pay fuel levy. Umewahi kusikia fuel levy? So when you see Kenya Roads Board, when you see our road agencies, that is Kura, Kera, Kenha, that is fuel levy working. You are fuel levy that is working. Mfano, fuel levy is managed at KRB, but expended on actual work programs by the road authorities. So this is why we are here, is to manage also that fund over and above overseeing the network. You all know the fuel levy is about 18 shillings per liter. Kwa hivyo kila mmoja wenu hapa analipa. So for me at KRB, one of you dies on a road, I feel very sad. It's very painful to lose someone who pays fuel levy. We want everyone alive. So road safety at KRB is something that we are very passionate about. There's another road agency also that we fund, which is the Kenya Wildlife Agency. That's why for those of us who go to the national parks, one of the mottos we have with the DG is even adults should be able to drive in our national parks. So please feel free to visit our parks whenever you get time. And they're also very safe. Sorry, I'm not used to looking down. Eh? I'm used to just having this thing here. Okay. Small. Those are the road authorities. Routine maintenance, this I think I will not go into those details, they're not very relevant here, but for us, whenever we look at the road agencies, we want to see and be sure that whenever there is a maintenance program taking place, that there is safety of motorists. Wangapi hapo mnaendesha gari, a road is being constructed, unaona mawe imewachwa kwa barabara, heaps of soil imewachwa kwa barabara. Those are things that we encourage our road authorities to avoid. And in every roadworks project, that budget, there is a component of road safety, which is kutoa mchanga, protect the soil, to put barriers or walkways to ensure that everything is clean. When you look at the kilometers that have been maintained over the last 5 years, 200,000 kilometers. This is a lot of kilometers. If every one of you tries to remember Kenya before Kenya Rose Bowl and before the road agencies, because we are very proud of our road agencies, before Kura, before Kera, before Kenha, you all remember how our roads used to be. Among Mesahab, maybe some of you are very young, Generation X, but those like me, I don't know which generation I am. Kirot, generation gani yangu na analog. If you were to drive to Kisumu or to drive from Nairobi to Nakuru, it was a hell of a nightmare. Today, majority of us, and I can stand here and tell you, we can drive to any of our highway without any major bottleneck or pothole on that highway. Our urban roads all over the country are in extremely good condition, thanks to DG Kura. I think that is something we should all be proud of. Today, because of people like institutions like Kura and Kenya, we have tarmac in places that have never seen tarmac roads before. I am from Garissa. Someone, if you are from, let's say, Mandara, you needed to come to Garissa to see a bit of paved road. Nobody knew what a tarmac road is. Today, we have tarmac roads in very small townships. In northern Kenya, there are places like a place called Kinotibuna, where he's doing tarmac roads. There's a place in Eldas, one of PS, if you remember, you went there, that roads are being done, and tarmac roads, very small townships. So this is again, thanks to the fuel levy that we're disbursing to these road authorities and are doing all this. 200,000 kilometers is a lot of kilometers. His Excellency mentioned 13,000 new roads, 13,000 kilometers of new roads over the last 9 years. Commendable job. But what we have not forgotten, should never be forgotten, is the roads that we, together with our road agencies, have preserved. And whenever roads are in good condition, what happens? Traffic accidents reduce. So road safety starts with the condition of the road network. The better the road condition, the safer our road network is. Now, we recently did a study, that is just last year, which revealed for every investments that we make in our roads, the economy, the wider economy, for every 1 shilling, we get 14 shillings plus more in benefits. And these benefits, although it's written here as 14 shillings, it is benefits over and above the output of the road network. That is, we are looking at people being able to access markets, children being able to school, mothers being able to visit antenatal clinics, people being able to visit at short notice maternity health centers, so on and so forth, dispensaries. This is the impact our roads give to the Kenyan population. So the better the roads, we are all better. Now, at KIA KRB, we maintain the national database on roads. The entire road network in Kenya, that is the National Roads Register, is maintained at KRB. That road register is reviewed periodically in consultation with our road agencies. Thereafter, we decide, through a consultative and all-inclusive process, what roads should be assigned, let's say, to Kenya. That is where what you hear about classification of roads. What roads should belong to Kura? What roads should go to, let's say, Kenya, so on and so forth. Or which roads should be downgraded, or what roads should be upgraded. Extremely important exercise that we do at Kenya Roads. This database, which we call which is a GIS database, is an extremely important tool for our national security, because this is what is used all over the country. When you hear Google Maps, unatumia Google Maps kwenda from point A to B, ni hii inatoka hapa. Google Maps don't create our network. We create it, they come and map it and borrow it from us. We are also currently undertaking a road inventory condition survey, the entire country of Kenya. We did one in 2018. A new government is coming in. The import of this exercise is to find out of the roads that we had in 2018, have our motto, and all of us here want one thing: to reduce the number of roads in poor condition, reduce the number of roads in fair condition, but increase the number of roads in good condition. Asset preservation, road assets, for all of you who are here this morning, you will know that it is actually the biggest investment with the Kenya government. If today we were to take the investment in roads and put it in the balance sheet of Kenya, I don't know what the value it will be, how many trillions that will be. It will be many, many, many trillions. That's a lot of money. But this road, and then we have this map here. So if you go online, all of you can see these maps. Whatever you see here, there is some that you cannot go deeper, but you can be able to see the road network classification, that is what roads belong to Kenya, Kura, so on. The road network condition, you will also be able to see it. The capital roads projects, that is projects that were developed by our government since 2013 to date, is also in this portal. So you go there, it is free information. The full information here is free for anyone to access and use. Okay. Surface time, that is the paved roads versus the unpaved roads. That's a map also we do maintain. The road is sector investment plan. This is the plan, for those who have never heard of it, is a plan that guides our parent ministry and the government of Kenya in terms of investment that should be made in the road sector. It's a 5-year plan, 15-year plan divided into 5-year sections. We are just finishing the last section of 5 years. It explains what needs to be done, and we are also going to give a brief and a report to our ministry what has happened to the last 5-year road sector investment plan. The annual public roads program. Again, this is some jargon that maybe some of you have never heard of. APRP. We give money to the road authorities. What guides us and the road authorities is this booklet, this book. This is the annual public roads program. It's like an agreement between us at KRB and our road authorities. It's like the Bible, the Quran of the road sector. Everything that is done must be included in the APRP. If there has to be a deviation, because we understand we're also living in a very dynamic situation, sometimes politics coming or emergencies coming, variations happen, then the road agencies will make requests to KRB for approval, and we will give that approval. But this booklet is actually extremely important. We put it in the list of us. Please, tafadhali mkipata nafasi mkiziona, interrogate it. Because one of the key relationships that guides our relationship between Kenya Roads Board and the road agencies is accountability. I gave you 10 shillings for road A. You must tell me what you did with the 10 shillings for road A. Extremely important. You must answer back and report and say, I did road A. I did not look for road A, B, C. I did road A. That's what we call the APRP. It's basically the budget, but it's a very detailed document. The rural access index, again, extremely important. It's for poverty alleviation. It's the index that shows the distances between a rural village to the next paved road network. It also helps in terms of mobility and development. Now, road safety, as I said, at KRB, we look at road safety on a bigger spectrum. When the Highways Agency looks at road safety from the highways perspective, at KRB, we do a bird's eye 360-degree approach. The full network must be safe for all of us to use. I am a victim of a road accident. Sijui, kwa vile tuko Mombasa, nimegonga watu mbele, nimegongwa nyuma, nikagonga mbele, tena nikapigwa nyuma mara nyingi, not once, not twice. So I hope all of you understand that when the bumps are bad, you stop very fast. Mtu anakugusa kutoka nyuma. Na wale Waswahili msisikie ikisema nyuma simaanishi vile mnadhania. Naona kuna watu wanaanza kufikiria nyuma napigwa nyuma mbele, hapana. Kugongwa na gari nyuma, kugonga mwingine mbele. Sio hiyo, najua tuko pwani, so hiyo kati inatumika huko lakini. So for us, when Kenya does their roads, we want to make sure that their roads are safe during construction and after construction. When our urban authority does the roads, before and after, we must be better off in terms of road safety after. And how we do this is we look at the APRP to ensure that those safety mitigation plans and measures are put in. Over and above this, of course, also the issues of environmental mitigation plans. So we support things like specific cases like you all know about Salga, street lighting, these are basic things, but again, through our road agencies. We've done footbridges. For those of you who have seen footbridges on Mombasa Road, all those footbridges were done at Kenya by Kenya Roads Board. We do research. We had some research conference which we held here in Kenya, 2 of them, again on issues of road safety. We continue to support road safety initiative. Those of you who are here, hii facility iko hapa, KRB sponsor. Makofi tafadhali. Again, at Kenya Roads Board, we have what we call technical audits and financial audits. Part of the technical inspection that we do with the road agencies is to ensure that roads become better with time in terms of safety. So we ask our auditors to check and ensure that road safety programs are appropriately mainstreamed by the road authorities. We support DG Zhao, NTSA. We've always done this. From the time NTSA was created, we've supported very many initiatives. We bought cars for NTSA, we've done road shows for NTSA, we bought many things for NTSA through Kenya Roads Board. I think on the issues of what needs to happen, mine is to implore the road agencies, the DGs of the road authorities, who own the network, who are responsible for the network. Whenever you do something, please make sure it is safe. Because these road accidents that take place, that killed an MP just 1 week ago, must be safe for all of us, for me, my mom, my children, your brothers, our sisters, for everyone. They must be safe, for our children. The challenge often is, most of the time we blame the driver. Of course, the statistics do show that the driver is to blame, often. But how we need to see also and accept the fact that at times, the road condition or the road itself is the cause of the accident. Something that we as a ministry are alive to and are working very hard to ensure that our roads are safe. There is issue of data, road crash data. The DG did a review that is it conclusive, is it 100%? We are supporting the research. Even the DG at Kura has a very big, what is it called, traffic study, traffic control center that is developing for the road sector institutions, which we are supporting. We shall continue to work with the NTSA and the other road agencies to ensure that road safety audit recommendations are implemented. Often, in other jurisdictions, when NTSA carries out an audit, let's say on an outer ring road, for instance, and there are shortcomings or deficiencies, that institution similar to NTSA can enforce or take measures to compel Kura to implement those recommendations. Here, because of budgetary constraints, sometimes we are not able to do so. But we work very hard to ensure whenever we get this report from NTSA, we work with our sister institutions to ensure that the recommendations are implemented. So we shall continue, DG Jao, to support you. We shall continue to fight the issues of drunkenness on our roads, which we continue to support. I remember when NTSA came, all of us remember alcohol blow. Wale wanakunywa. Lakini develop nyingine pia George ya miraa, because mimi nakula miraa. Sasa hiyo sijui kama mnapima itaonyesha kwa alcohol inaonyesha. But we at KRB support the initiatives that have been taken across Kenya when it comes to issues of road safety. All of Kenyans see Kenya Road Board as a funding institution. We fund the road sector. We do not undertake any road works. It's important to hear people to understand. I don't build roads. I do not erect street lights. Anything I want done, I do it through my road agencies. We, and for the benefit of all Kenyans, the Road Authority just started operations in 08-09 financial year. They were created in 2007 under the Kenya Roads Act. KRB came in 1999. But let's appreciate the fact that between 2007, 2008 and now, the landscape when it comes to issues of infrastructure and roads, it is something, it's been a game changer. The road authorities have changed the landscape and the narrative when it comes to the issues of roads. So thank you very much all. I wish you a pleasant afternoon.
Wow. Another round of applause for DG Kura. Oh, that was powerful. And our chief is one thing that we're liking in this conference is that going through the presentations, we highlight the problem, yes, but importantly, we have a way forward to it. I think that's big, that we have a solution to most of these issues. That's the whole essence. So it's just not talk, but at least there is a way forward to most of these things. I think we have sat for so long, yeah? Can I ask that any behavior you can condemn on the road? Like which one? Overlapping. No to overlapping. Any other? Drunk driving. No to drunk driving. Any other? The last one? Zebra crossing. Speed. Thank you so much. So speed. Let's say speed. Thank you so much. We can take our seats. Invite our chief guest to speak to us. Karibu. Transport Public Works, representing Honorable Nyagapo. Please come to the podium. That is Mr. Kulati Wongia. Please come to the podium. The representative also of the Regional Commissioner, Mr. Elungata, who is not with us here, but he sent a representative. But Mr. Jumo, please also join the podium. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Leader, for that. Our chief guests and the other guests flanking our chief guest, we're proud and really appreciate you joining us this afternoon for this very momentous event to just take stock of our road safety, our road transport safety in this country, and think of now the next steps as we go into having solutions around the challenges that we have. In this conference, our chief guest, we have over 300 participants drawn from different agencies. We have government agencies, we have non-government agencies. We have also FBOs here, we have civil society present. We have the other players in the industry, the circles, the PSV circles are also here. The dealers of motor vehicles and different motorcycles are also here. We have even universities present here. We have even students actually among us. I think this is quite a very good mix in terms of discussing such a national agenda. I may not really have enough time to acknowledge all of you, but you're well represented and we really appreciate your presence. Thank you so much. Now we want to have a very brief session to just listen in to our guests and to officially open this function. And to start us off with remarks, I wish to invite the Director General, National Transport and Safety Authority, Mr. George Njau, to give his statement. Karibu DG. A round of applause for the DG as he comes.
Thank you very much to our chief guest, the Principal Secretary for State Department for Infrastructure, panelists present here with me today. It's a great honor to be here today. As rightfully pointed out, we have got 300 enthusiastic Kenyans representing different institutions and organizations. And I'd like to start off by first recognizing the DGs and CEOs who are here present with me. On the stage, I'd like to recognize Bwana Rashid Mohammed, who has been one of the key financiers for us here today and has supported NTSA for the last many years, as you've heard, and has taken us through the journey that we're here today. So he was just here a few minutes ago, so I don't think he needs to stand up. I think you all know him. I'd also like to then take note of Engineer Silas Kinoti, Bwana Kinoti, for those who I think the PSU, but he was here a few minutes ago presenting. I'd like to acknowledge him as one of the financiers and also supporters for road safety in the conference. I'd like Mr. Harun M. Hassan, the CEO, the National Council of People with Disabilities, to stand up. I think he's the one who nobody has seen yet. Okay, I think you'll wave at us at some point. As you know, as rightfully pointed out, we have mined a lot of people through road crashes, and he's a key stakeholder who we work with and we partner with. I'd like to recognize Dr. Mohammed Sheikh, the DG for the National Council of Population and Development, if he could stand up. I think there he is. He's one of the people who are changing the statistical data from us and research, because as we now look at mortality, we also have to look at the people we're losing on our lives. I'd also like to recognize Ken Migwe, DG Vision 2030, if you could stand up and wave at us. He's the one who gives us the blueprint of our vision of where we're headed to as a country, and doing the stakeholder and engagement with us as we go along as an institution. Also, I'd like to recognize Mr. Abdi Mohammed, the Deputy CEO of the EACC, who works with us very closely. As you know, integrity and corruption is an issue that we're dealing with as a country, and also a key area that is challenging us on our road safety in our country. As we know, what happens on the road, 50 shillings can get you out of many challenges that you have on our road, and then thereafter leads to a cause, accident. I'd also like to recognize the Parliamentary Committee for Transport and Public Works and Housing, who are represented here by two honorable members. Honorable Neka, is in the room. Oh yeah, there he is with us. He's one of our key party persons who we work with when we come to the regulatory framework of the institution, and also as the road agencies, we work closely with the Parliamentary Committee. Also with him is Honorable Omar Buni, I believe, who is with us, who has joined us, and he's there at the back. So we'd like to recognize all these and others peers are people we work with closely, key stakeholders. We have representatives from the transport sector across the board. And what we have been having here for the last 4 hours or so, and going to the next 2 days, is to see how we can support each other as a shared responsibility. With your permission, I'd like to read an extract from His Excellency's speech that he did at Madaraka Day a few days ago. And he quoted something that is one of the themes that we have here on digitization. I refer to the speech as follows, I quote verbatim: "To fully seize the opportunities on offer in the information age, our massive investment in ICT has seen internet penetration rise from 31.4% in 2013 to 93.9% in 2022, with a cell phone phone penetration increasing by 74.9% in 2013 to 131% in the last reporting cycle." What appears, this shows us that with digitization, we shall be able to effectively communicate and eradicate the issues of corruption and challenges that we have, and also support us in the road safety. It is my honor and pleasure right now to then introduce the chair of our board, Madam Agnes Odiambo, who will then introduce for us the board members and other members present. Thank you.
Our chief guest, allow me, before I make my brief remarks, to introduce the board members. I think this has been sanitized. I'll remove So let me take this opportunity to introduce the board members present here today. Dr. Alice Chesire, you can just stand and wave to the delegates. Mrs. Regina Deritu, Engineer Meshak Kidenda, thank you. Mr. Wilfred Okemwa, Mr. Julius Kitili, and Mr. Midhamo Muchiri. Those are some of the board members who are with us today. The rest could not make it. Our chief guest, the list is very long. You will allow me to just acknowledge a few. The members of parliament representing the Committee on Transport, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, the representatives of the various institutions that have been recognized here, the NTSA board, the NTSA Director General, all the Director Generals present here, senior government officers represented here. In the interest of time, all protocol observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon once again. Yeah, you are most welcome. It is a great honor for the National Transport and Safety Authority to host this important national conference on road safety that brings together key stakeholders in the transport sector. On behalf of the authority and on my own behalf, I extend my appreciation to the chief guest, Professor Paul Maringa, for accepting to grace this occasion, and our participants from both the public and the private sector for finding time to attend this very important event. I also wish to extend our deepest gratitude to our key sponsors, the Kenya Roads Board, for funding this three-day conference, and also the Kenya Urban Roads Authority for providing additional resources towards funding this conference. The support we have received so far is a clear indication that cooperation between government agencies goes a long way in ensuring that road safety is observed in the country. Asanteni sana for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference has been convened to address fundamental issues affecting road safety management in our country. Through this conference, we seek to achieve four main objectives. One is to discuss and adopt a multi-sectoral collaboration and partnership framework across government agencies, international agencies, development partners, the private sector to achieve sustainable road safety. Two, to deliberate on emerging policy options at national and county levels with a view of coming up with recommendations for adoption, i.e. 30 kilometers per hour speed limits in the urban areas and road safety audits. Three, to identify proven road safety measures and accelerated actions to save lives. Four, to identify and discuss road safety funding and financing mechanisms to ensure sustainable road safety programs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is through achieving these key objectives that the road safety agenda will be given the much needed attention both within government and the private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, with this background, allow me to refer you to the 74th session of the UN General Assembly that discussed ways of improving global road safety and subsequent declarations towards the second UN Decade of Action for Road Safety, 2021 to 2030. Through the resolutions of the UN General Assembly, it is expected that all member states, including Kenya, will reduce their fatalities and injuries by 50% by the year 2030. This conference, therefore, comes at the commencement of the implementation of this plan, which places a lot of emphasis on the following major issues. One is the importance of a holistic approach to road safety through a multi-sectoral collaboration to ensure political commitment. Continued improvement in the design of roads and vehicles. Three, enhancement of laws and law enforcement and provision of timely life-saving emergency care for the injured. Then four, promotion of policies to promote walking, cycling, and using public transport as inherently healthy and environmentally sound modes of transport. Ladies and gentlemen, this second decade of action provides us with an opportunity to understand our failures, lessons, and harness the successes and build upon them to save lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya's road safety management is anchored on the safe system approach. This approach is aimed at reducing the number and severity of road-related crashes. The approach is embedded within the UN Decade of Action and promotes a much more systematic implementation of a number of proven measures that address not only the safety of the road user, but also vehicle safety, the road environment, and post-crash care. The system aligns with other policies for core benefits such as health, occupational health and safety, sustainable development, and poverty reduction. The realization of the Decade of Action objectives calls for fostering multi-sectoral collaborations between the government and various partners. Ladies and gentlemen, the second Decade of Action is a call for action. First, we must put in place a framework for development of evidence-based strategies to halve road deaths and serious injuries. Secondly, we need to mobilize resources to support effective road safety management to facilitate implementation of the 5 pillars, namely safe road users, safe vehicles, safe roads, safe speeds, and post-crash care. Thirdly, we need much stronger political commitment and prioritization to road safety. We know that countries with the best road safety performance have benefited from strong and sustainable political support. Ladies and gentlemen, our conference theme, Accelerating Road Safety in Kenya through digitization, enhanced partnerships and collaborations, requires the 3 factors to be aligned. As we engage and deliberate, we must all keep in mind that road safety remains a major challenge as a country, as it is globally, to us as a country and as it is globally. Road traffic injuries are a leading cause of death, hospitalization, and disabilities. In Kenya, fatalities that are attributed to road traffic crashes has been increasing steadily over the years. The year 2021 recorded 4,579 deaths, the highest in the last 5 years. Current crash data statistics are more alarming. As at 3rd June 2022, a total of 1,968 lives have been lost, with majority being vulnerable road users such as pedestrians, border riders, and pillion passengers. The last few weeks has particularly been worrying as we have noted sudden spike in crashes involving public service vehicles, heavy commercial vehicles, and vehicles in the election campaign processions. The suffering caused by these crashes is huge. For instance, for every victim of a crash, there are family members and friends who must cope with the physical, psychological, and economic can reverse this trend, ladies and gentlemen, guided by the principle that road safety is a shared responsibility and everyone has a role to play. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the stakeholders present here and acknowledge your individual and collective participation in this conference as a contribution towards road safety. With a strong commitment by all stakeholders, adequate road user education, safe infrastructure, safe vehicles, I'm certain we can overcome the challenges presented by our roads. I urge you all to openly discuss and share best practices that will enhance road safety in this country. I wish us all a fruitful conference. May God bless you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to also now recognize and invite Mr. Kulitai Wangai, the CEC Kakamega, who is representing the Secretary to the CEC of Caucus and representing Honorable Longaya Poa to give his opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our guest of honor, who is the Principal Secretary in the State Department of Infrastructure, the DGs present, the chairperson of NTSA and the board, and the representatives of the County Executive Committee members who are present here, national government representatives and county government representatives, and all delegates. Good afternoon. My name is Kulati Wanja. Fortunately, it was not given properly. I'm the CEC in charge of roads, infrastructure, and energy in Kakamega County Government. I'm here to represent the chairman of the Council of Governors sector in energy, infrastructure, and transport committee at the Council of Governors, Professor Paul Lonyangapo. And I will not add there because our caucus as CECs has been well represented, and I will just read the speech that he was to present. He was presenting his paper as our guest of honor yesterday, as he is contesting in West Pokot, and he could not make it to Mombasa today, and therefore he gave that I read his speech. I would like to first take this opportunity to express my most sincere gratitude for the invite to make remarks during this very important National Technical Stakeholders Conference on improving road transport safety in Kenya. Secondly, I would wish to underscore that this is a conference that is long overdue, as we have never had such a conference bringing the national government and the county government to discuss road safety, and better still, how to enhance collaboration and partnership between the two levels of government in the road sector. I wish to state the theme of this conference, accelerating road safety in Kenya through enhanced partnership and collaboration, resonates very well with the SDG's global targets on road safety, which calls to halve the number of global death and injury from road traffic crashes, and improving road safety in the provisions of access to transport systems and expanding public transport. On this note, I wish to appreciate the National Transport Safety Authority for conceptualizing this conference and the continued efforts towards implementing the global target, the national target, and the strong commitment towards promoting road safety in the county and in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, road crashes are one of the leading causes of death in Kenya, among the top 10. And globally, about 1.35 million people are killed on our roads every year. More than 2 every minute. More than 9 in 10 of those deaths occurring in low and middle income countries. Out of this, about over 3,000 people are killed in road accidents. I think we were given that statistics earlier on. This is a ticking time bomb that requires urgent ministration. This calls for stepping up actions on road safety by all mandated agencies, including the county governments present here in this conference. As you are all aware, Kenya promulgated its new constitution in 2010, which provides for devolved systems of government. The constitution sets out transport as one of the devolved functions that is shared as defined in the 4th schedule and potentially has a bearing on road safety in each of our respective counties. Further, the National Transport Safety Authority Act gives provisions for the establishment of county transport safety authorities, whose functions include overseeing the management and regulations of road transport system, produce audit reports on safety, reliability and efficiency of road transport system, advises on matters affecting road transport systems within the county. While devolution holds the prospects of improved road transport and safety, there are important questions about the policies, legislations, administrative capacities, and funding for counties and urban areas to manage public transport, in particular the border sector. It is our hope that this conference will attempt to answer these challenges, which we commit to integrate into our policies and legislations at the national level. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let me acknowledge the National Transport and Safety Authority for the continued support to the Council of Governors and the county governments. The Council of Governors will continue to strengthen this collaboration for the benefit of the Kenyan citizenry. Finally, allow me to state that it is our hope that through the deliberations of this conference, county governments will benefit and realize suitable developments, and this will go a long way in supporting and strengthening devolution in our country. Asante sana, may God bless you, and may God bless this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to invite the regional person representing the regional commissioner, Mr. Peter Jumwa.
Thank you very much. My name is Peter Jumwa, representing the Regional Commissioner Coasts. And all those who have accompanied you and all the people who have come across the country. Mine is very little. Since you'll be here until Thursday, I think this opportunity will only be wise for me to invite all of you to this region. Feel free, the weather is now good. And also to say that I'm sure by the time we come to Friday, we have a way forward. So mine is that, and then I welcome our chief guest to come and say something.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is that day when we are going to sit in here and look at a bit of statistics. I have a speech, but I haven't been taught how to read speeches, so you'll indulge me, I'll not read the speech. Rather, I want us to reflect together on the problem that confronts us. And as we reflect together, I think it will be very important that we retain this thought in our heads, that for us to make appropriate decisions, the decisions must be driven by believable analysis. We don't want to sit in here and say Africa is the one continent where all problems happen. Do I need to? Yeah. We don't want to sit in here and say Africa is the continent where all problems happen. We don't want to sit in here and say when you go to Lagos, you can expect a crisis in our roads, and that Kenya has the most ill-behaved drivers. We need to understand why this is happening. Otherwise, I looked at my speech and it says that my ministry is committing itself to reducing the accidents by 50% and blah, blah, blah. Right? That we are going to migrate to technology and ICT and blah, blah, blah. All right? But I know countries that don't have ICT. I know countries that have a zero tolerance on deaths, that value the life of every person, and for that reason, they are having no accidents. And that is why you're going to indulge me. I have 20 slides. When you get tired, anybody raise your hands up, we'll stop. Right? In my past life, I used to teach, and I know once I've lost your attention, and I've lost the next time. But I want us to go through some slides together. So, in our first slide, we're looking at global road safety situation, where we're saying road traffic injuries are causing, the note there say 1.35 million deaths, but the reality is not less than 1.5 million people die every year in the world because of injuries. And since we are doing analysis, let's remind ourselves, you don't die because of a road accident. In fact, a lot of people survive road accidents, don't they? And the only injury is to the economy. When the car gets fully destroyed. I've gone through those sort of situations a number of times and live to thank God that He's given me a new lease of life. Because there are some people who are not very lucky. So every year in the world we lose 1.5 million people. And because I've realized when you're used to death, we don't value human life. We'll translate this into financial costs. Maybe we can feel the pain a lot more. But out of those 1.5 million deaths, you have another 20 to 50 odd people who are injured or disabled. Now you heard it said that the cost of war is rarely felt by men because we die when we are fighting. And we die in glory. And stories are told about us and how valorous we are. But behind us we leave broken women and children. And those are the ones who carry the pain of injury to their death. And you can see these numbers. 1.5 die, 20 to 50 million are going to live the rest of their lives. And there is the cost. There is the cost. You lose your eyes, can't work for the rest of your life. Your life changes. You're an architect like I am, and assuming you're young, like when I was younger, before technology, if you couldn't write, if you can't hold a pen, you're not going to be an architect. You can't see color, you're not going to be an architect. It's the end of your life. If you're a driver and you're injured on your kneecap, so your leg can no longer fold, you lost your career. And as you lose your career, I want us to look at the multiply effect of people. I'm a father, one wife, and depending on my persuasion, my name is Mwangi. My grandfather had 15 odd wives. So if I decide to follow my grandfather, then I probably will have another 5 wives in addition to the one I have. And then on the average, you give me how many children? 25, isn't it? Eh? Who is going to feed those children? Suddenly their lives plummet. The lives of my family plummet. So I want you to think about these statistics. So kids who had a future wake up and discover in a flash of a second, because of some reason, and we must establish these reasons, because it's pointless declaring 50% reduction if we don't know the reasons. And I'm hoping at the end of our discussion, we'll know the reasons. We're told that road accidents are among the top 10 most significant causes of death. We brought this country literally to a grinding halt through shutdowns and all kinds of things because of COVID. Yet even when we did that, malaria was killing more people. Many more people. COVID, how many people did COVID take in our country? Did we ever get to 300,000? Any medics in here, did we ever get to 300,000? Did we make 30,000? And we shut down our economy. Because we could tell the impact of COVID if we didn't deal with it correctly. Well, this enemy we are dealing with in here is among the 10 top causes of death. And if you don't believe it, 3,500 people die every day anywhere in the world. I have had it mentioned, but I want to repeat it. as we stand now here today, or we sit here today, we're going to lose 3,500 people in the world. Guaranteed. They're dying around us. And as if this is not bad enough, this thing is harvesting young people at the prime of your youth. Your sons and daughters at the ages of 15 to 29, just when we are molding them, just when we want to release them into the workforce. The goal. So you invest in them for 29 years. I have a son who's 27 years, and we're celebrating his 27 years, saying, soon we shall be grandfathers. A couple of years, we shall be, my wife and I say we'll be a grandfather and a grandmother. It's the value of a child. We'll have another daughter coming in to join our family. And then, you get a call. Your son is no more. Think about the pain. So we stop being cash about road accidents. And as if this is not bad enough, whereas currently road traffic injuries are placed 9th on the list of our enemies, by 2030 it's moving up to 5th position. Soon it will be the main killer. But remember, behind every car that is killing a person is a character like you and me. Accidents don't cause themselves. It is us. It is us. And why are we causing accidents? We're going to ask ourselves that question. Why are we causing accidents? Before we come back and develop all manner of interesting technological solutions. Our head is not technology. Our hearts are not technology. They're not. And Kenyans, we need to learn to be honest with ourselves. Next slide. Next slide. We're in a class. You want me to move fast? I will. What is the financial cost of road accidents? What is the financial cost of road accidents? 79.6 million health years of life lost annually. And I want to break it down for us because that is global. I'm telling you, on the average, between a poor person in Kenya and a very rich person in Kenya, we can assume an average earning for 50 years before you retire or 60 years before you retire, over 50,000 shillings per month. So in a year, averagely, a Kenyan earns 600,000 shillings per year. A Kenyan. Right? So if you are losing, say, 20,000 Kenyans every year, calculate how much health years we are losing. Work it out with your calculator. Look at the figures. Astronomous figures. Internationally, you're saying you're losing for 47 trillion Kenya shillings per year. You're damaging entire economies. And here you're looking at working or earning capacity. You haven't considered the damage to the economy because you have a vehicle that is written off. And in a country like Kenya that still is a net importer, we have iron, we don't smelt iron. So we can't make our own cars. People come in here and smelt iron and export it. And they fabricate cars. And I'm happy about the Build Kenya, Buy Kenya thing that now is insisting we are going to buy cars that are assembled in here. But the raw materials are refined outside. So the multiplier effect is astronomous. It's very huge. Very big. We're afraid of malaria. I bet you every household here, can I ask who doesn't have a mosquito net in their house? Please lift up your hands. Who is not protecting themselves against malaria in here? Nobody. Nobody. And malaria is not as dangerous a killer as road accidents. And tomorrow I find you driving on the back of a car without a safety belt. Yet one of the reasons why a lot of people die from road accidents is because you've been driven at the back of a car without strapping yourselves. Some of you had accidents like I have. You're carrying a passenger next to you, no safety belt. And they're saying, I'm all right. I've had a passenger pushed out of the window with me in a head-on accident. All right? So we are afraid of tuberculosis, we are afraid of malaria, yet it's less of an enemy than the roads. In the so-called high-income countries, registering 1% road accidents. 1% road accidents in their population. Africa and countries with high vehicle population like Kenya, we are operating at 3%. All right? Africa has a population of about 1.4 billion. Europe has a population of about 0.7 billion. So actually, comparatively, all right, we have 6% levels of road accidents compared to Europe's 1%. Same human beings. You know the brain doesn't have a skin color, eh? Yeah? Same human beings. Same people. Going through the same education. All right? And in front of God, same behavior challenges. Same spirit. What is the unique difference? What is the unique difference? And I can begin to tell you some of these unique differences. I visited Cape Town. It's an African city in an African country. And I was shocked to see what is going on in Cape Town. No policeman. I don't know how many. Do you have anybody else who can verify this information? I don't want to tell stories. Somebody else has been to Cape Town. Mheshimiwa Naika, umetembea huko? Yeah. Anybody else? It's been to Cape Town. It's an African city. Anybody else? Mheshimiwa umetembea huko? Nakuona hapa. Yes, yes. Did you see any policeman in Cape Town? No, they're security guards. If you're lucky, you may see a police car every so often. If you're lucky, maybe twice in a day. All right? Yet, pedestrians rule in Cape Town. And you can tell who is a Kenyan. Every time you approach a zebra crossing, you stop. All right? When you're selling the vehicles past, because they also stop. You wonder what is going on in here. All right? But there's a policy in there. Whether the traffic lights are red or green, the pedestrian rules. So you're not going to hit a pedestrian in that place. And guess what? You're fully on CCTV. You're fully on CCTV. You make a mistake in 5 minutes, those guys have you somewhere. 5 minutes. They have you. They have you. And you're going to either pay a fine, not 50 bob. You know that 50 bob we give here. You're going to pay a fine, not 50 bob, or you're going in. No discussion. So you don't see any cars over speeding. Cape Town, they have a gadget they've introduced in the vehicles that turn off the engine when you get to the traffic lights. The minute you slow down below 10 kilometers an hour, the car goes off. So you have no chance of crashing into anybody. It's an African country. And what happens in Nairobi? What happens in Nairobi? We become zebras, literally on zebra crossings, running back and forth. All right, and we'll be looking at comparative traffic accident patterns. Why, for instance, we have very high accident levels in a city like Nairobi and very low in Mombasa? Same people, same cultures. Why is Nakuru very high and Kisumu is not very high? Same culture, same people. So we need to look at the causative factors, not just crunch out figures and targets that are not driven by reason. All right? One of the weaknesses of any society is enforcement and literacy levels. The next slide. This one we don't need to dwell a lot on it. It just shows you what's going on. 2004, road traffic injuries were at number 9 at 1.24. And as if that is not enough, we still have an appetite for road traffic injuries. In 2014, we went up. In 2022, we are up to 1.5. In 2030, it will be the 5th enemy of the world, taking 3.6%. Next slide. Next slide. Just comparative examples. Comparative examples. At number 8, road injuries. Okay, road injuries. Next slide, the international rates. We'll dwell on this a little bit. Number 8. Next slide, the one with the budget. No, you've gone too far. There. That budget there. Look at it. Africa, with a population of 1.46 billion, has 3%. That's what I said earlier, 3%. Europe on the extreme right, with a population of 0.7 billion, has a rate of 1%. 1%. If they can do it, we can do it. If they can do it, if they can do it, we can do it. And I'll give you an interesting example. Yeah, my other title is PS for infrastructure. Sometimes I forget my name. You know, in Kenya we love titles a lot. So people come and salute me. Hi PS, they forget I'm called Mwangi Maringa. And of course, as a PS for infrastructure, you're #1 villain in this country. Because Kenya hasn't done this, because the Kenya engineers can't think. This is what we tell them, isn't it? You heard that, you engineers. The road designs are bogus. They say common sense, surely you can do a better turn on a road. Like you had a lot of problems on Gong Road. One of those common sense lessons were kids, and you saw it on social media. We finished the expressway, we went, launched it with the president. We thought we had done Kenya proud. I actually was very excited because we have struggled with this thing. To crash a construction process of 36 months plus to 18 months and perform a little miracle. There is no road that has been done like that anywhere in Africa. Plus, remember, this is the only expressway in Africa, the only one. In other countries, you have viaducts, short bridges. This is a viaduct of I don't know how many kilometers, running over 27 kilometers with a viaduct of 8 kilometers, and it's an expressway, the only one in Africa. All right? Built without a cent of the Kenyan money. The only money we spend on that road is to pay for compensation, is to pay for our own mischief. All right? Because you know where the road reserve is, you build on it, and then you take us to court. The rest of it is foreign investment. All of it. And it's going to save us billions of shillings because of decongestion. Then I get a lesson early in the morning. In fact, oh my goodness. You know, my telephone was very busy. I was taught lessons of common sense. How can you design a highway and never think about a footbridge because there are kids crossing from Aga Khan? You remember those stories, eh? Yeah? What kind of engineers? And somebody says somebody in the ministry, those big wigs, Mashari and Mwangi, they don't listen to people, eh? And yet, as I was reading it, I knew 500 meters away from where these kids were crossing, 500 meters, there is a permanent, very good footbridge. So if those kids were crushed, would you say they were crushed because of bad behavior? Design force or human behavior? I need an answer to this. We're in class. If any child was crushed in there, would it be because of villain #1, Professor Maringa, and his engineers who were bad designers, or human behavior? Human behavior. Because guess what? We have a law in Kenya against jaywalking, don't we? And we all know about it, and it's a punishable law. But what happens? It's never implemented. Because you implement it, or you're harassing us. Kenyans have a right. We need to talk to ourselves, people. We need to talk to ourselves. And recognize we are unique people, but we are human beings. If Europeans respect the law against jaywalking, we can't. Even in America, when you go to America, you're very careful not to cross where there is no zebra crossing. You're very careful not to cross when the lights are red. Why do you think you're different when you come back home? Because you're so entitled, you can walk anywhere you want. All right, so the debate continued, and my reflection was, go on the ground, do a barrier, close it, make a high barrier. And so we went to the ground, and by evening, we had a barrier. Then the following morning, I get another shot of a guy walking in there. He plies open the joints in between the metal barrier and the concrete barrier, and he jumps across. In no time, the kids are sneaking through like rats. Same place. And I asked myself, which parent in their common sense allows their children to do that? Before you blame P.S. Maringa. Which parent? Would you do that with your child, Engineer Omer? Would you allow your child to do that jaywalking and risk their lives? Which school headmaster? And in the entire discussion, I never had a mention of the responsibility of the school headmaster, of the parents, none. So we had to station policemen in there to stop people from that mischief. We had to station policemen to compel them to be responsible about their lives. And then we had to release Njao and his team to spend 3 days in there in the schools educating kids about hey, it's your own safety. And guess what? Go 500 meters. Your young kids. It's good for your health. All right, people. So when we're looking at these statistics, we need to look at the underlying factors. So that when we say we can reduce accidents by 50%, we may recognize that if we change human behavior, if we choose to be a responsible society, then we're not talking about 50%. You get rid of it. We need to do comparative studies. As I say, Mombasa, I'll show you on graphs, hardly any accidents. And Mombasa is the second biggest town. Nairobi at the top of a pyramid. What is the difference? Mheshimiwa Mwinyi, what do you do here in Mombasa that the rest of us don't know? And we need to hear these testimonies. What is going in Mombasa? But I can tell you something very unique. Mombasa traffic policing is done by county policemen, isn't it? Try that anywhere else in Kenya. Why they want to tonight a car enjoy in Nairobi? They're thugs. They throw you in, they collect the 50 bob, isn't it? And they beat you up. Mombasa, they're different. In Mombasa, watch. The walkways in Mombasa work. The walkways in Nairobi, Engineer Kenoti, are full of potholes. All right? We build our roads, we leave mud on the sides. Is that true? Those of us who are telling us that us, huku chini, we have floods, mabonyanya wako huku juu on the expressway, and they're right. Because when I drive in there, of course, exaggeration things. When I'm driving on the old Uhuru Highway, the road is passable. But what is provoking one's psychology is that on the side, in the past, Uhuru Highway had good landscaping. You remember it? Yeah? At the edge of the curb, we have grass, palm trees, then we had a drain, right? And very good lawns, and then finally you have the fence of Uhuru Highway. Now somebody has left it, it's just a heap of mud. Who is allowing this? Who is allowing this? Our society. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay. Leading causes of death globally, so we also understand where the problem is. We said we want to make decisions based on statistics. Now the male population is at risk. The male population is at risk. All right. Ages 5 to 14 years. Ages 5 to 14 years are killed primarily by road accidents. Look at that, jaywalking, playing in the streets, numbers, and such like mischief, doing gymnastics in vehicles. Ages 15 to 29, road injuries again. For men, women get to feature at ages 5 to 14, but they're number 5. 15 to 29, they're number 4. At 1 to 4 years, men are still at risk. Very interesting. Number 8. So these are behavioral issues. Can you see that? They have behavioral issues. Between a boy and a girl, the one who's likely to run across a road between a boy and a girl is a boy. And that is why we are saying we want our boys, if possible, to also be taught by men in primary school. Because the women are saying these kids are badly behaved. Kuna adrenaline huko ndani kwa mwili. We know that. So you put him in a class, he wants to play as well as learn. And the woman says the boy is very badly behaved. Because it's different from the girl. So in our behavioral approaches towards keeping society safe, these are things we need to know. That's why you look at the statistics. You tell me, why is it that a child of 1 to 4 years old, the boy is at a much higher risk of road injury than a girl? He's the sort of kid who put his hand outside a car so he can feel the wind moving, isn't it? That's how boys grow up. And he's okay, that's a boy. He's not naughty. He must understand aerodynamics and physics to be able to somersault and play and grow his muscles. All right, At ages 5 to 14, 15 to 29, when they begin to move out, girls play safe, boys play dangerous. All right? That is how they get credit. And their approval ratings go up when they do something silly. All right? Yeah, so if we want to bring down these accidents by 50%, these are things we need to study and analyze and know the reasons. Move on to the next slide. Same patterns. 30 to 44 for men. Number 2, women. Number 8. Can you see this? Eh? And you know, somebody may argue casually, as they did during the Second European War, that men are not a factor of population. Did you know that? Did you know that? In our population of 50 million Kenyans, assuming men are 48%, you can actually afford to bomb 50% of the population of men out of this Kenya of ours, and our population will just shoot up. Did you know that? Men are not a factor of population. And that's why during the European War, the population went up and they lost 50 million men. We're not a factor of population. We're not. And so maybe it's not a problem. Only, we also need to recognize that stable families are driven by men as a factor. The family identity, like it or not, go to agriculture, requires a father figure, a male figure. So it is serious that we are losing our boys and our men in these accidents. We are maiming our boys and men. We're denying them. Next slide, fatality trends. Fatality trends, next slide. Fatality trends. That one, yes. Fatality trends. So is this situation improving or is it getting worse? Pedestrians in 2022, 632, 2021, 541. Variance, positive 16. It's getting worse. Gentlemen, ladies, it's getting worse. But we have a conference where we are saying reduction by 50%. Is that practical? Is it real? And the natural trends are here telling us that from 2021 to 2022, there's a variance of 16. What is the likely variance in 2023? It will be higher. Isn't it? It will be higher. So we must understand why this variance has gone up. Drivers. And you see, this is why statistics and analysis is very important. The variance for drivers is negative. But I know since 2018, NTSA has been involved in a very aggressive drive to train and sensitize drivers. That's what we've been doing. We've taken down the training to the grassroots. So there, maybe we have an answer. The training works. In a venture to reduce these numbers by 50%. Passengers, the variance is going up, +6. Jao, have you ever trained passengers about use of vehicles in Kenya? They like to know. Never. Have you ever trained passengers of matatu that you have a right to say, sita in gear, and you're not overloading? Have you ever done that? And it worked. He empowered people, and it worked. Have you ever trained passengers and given them a hotline to report people who drive badly? Zero, kabisa. Have you? I mean, I've tried it. I've tried it. 2018, I was the PS for transport. And I had a lot of meetings with matatu drivers until I got fed up and I told them, you're not coming to my office to make noise about government. All the time, from here on, you point a mistake in my government, I also point a mistake in your operations to answer. So we agreed. Whenever I find a matatu anywhere in Kenya, when I'm driving, that it is behaving, I get the number plate, I call you, I call traffic one in that county, we put that matatu in for a day. No discussions, and you don't complain. Right? And you don't complain. Wherever. And you know, you'll be surprised. I tried in the city of Nairobi, and in a month, I saw a change in behavior. Because they told me, if my matatu doesn't do business for a day, I sack that driver. In a month, they changed. They changed. So you see, and this was not CCTV, was it? It was not higher technology. I didn't need to remove all the policemen out to get it done. So we think through these things. Passengers. So positive variance. So it is going up. There are these people called pillion passengers. And those of you who have teenagers and young adults like me, pillion passengers has become a lover's nest. You know, your son has bought his motorbike and he attracts a lot of girls to ride behind him. You know, in this bike, eh? So the girl can hold very tightly and then, you know, they get very romantic. Eh? It's very dangerous. Nasikia wazee wanacheka hapo. You You're going through those experiences, eh? Yeah? And you're praying every night that your son is driving safe. Billion passengers. Look at this. Positive 22. More and more of those billion passengers are dying. And I suspect they're dying because of that romance. Because nobody's paying attention. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody. And it's not in borders. It could be these high-speed motorbikes that our children are driving, and you met the middle class, eh? Because they're driving distracted, all right? Look at an interesting trend. Pedal cyclists, negative 41.86%. There is your answer. Engineers and economists and behavioral scientists, if you can explain why this has gone down by 50%, that's the one we're looking for, isn't it? There's your answer. There's your answer. Engineer. Why has this gone down by, they're almost there, 42%, isn't it? Why has it gone down? Is it because there's a drop in the use of cycles? I don't think so. Amen. No. Not at all. In fact, you have more cycling clubs in Kenya than ever before. And they become very aggressive. You know, they also write to me. Eh? Like we're telling me they also want access to the expressway. Why not? They say they're Kenyans. All right? So why is that going down? Why has it gone down? One of the reasons why it's gone down is because they form clubs where they train themselves and talk to one another. It's because they are visible. They ride as a group. All right? Now they know safety rules. They're not being trained by Jao. They're training themselves. Yeah. Yes. And they know that the best place to cross is not at a roundabout when the driver can't be seen. They are also dressing properly with reflectors. Think about it. Eh? All right? Behavior change. Motorcyclists, plus 8.28. This continues to be a problem. This continues to be a problem. Licensing is a problem. But I know you've done a lot in the last 2 years to train. All right? But licensing continues to be a problem because there's so many, who are slipping through. All right? We had agreed that nobody cycles unless we know his head of Nyumbakum or her head of Nyumbakum. Nobody cycles unless they're in a cooperative, but I think we have so many of them. All right? So I think this could be an issue of policing, community policing. All right? And community policing is not difficult. Everybody lives in a house, apart from these kids, even these kids who sleep in the streets. You go into a home that you call a house, and you have a society around you. All right? So those are the fatalities as of 2021 to 2022 May. Okay, and so you have your graphs there showing you the people who are at the highest risk then were pedestrians, 35%. So if you're talking about 50% reduction in fatalities, don't give us a general figure. You know the group you need to protect, pedestrians. And why pedestrians are being killed? Mheshimiwa Mwinyi, I don't see people in Mombasa doing jaywalking, crossing anywhere. I haven't seen that. Eh? All right, eh? And I also look at the rhythm of their walking. How do Wangwana, how what? Ukweli, Wamama. Anybody else on the coast apart from the member of our transport committee oversight? As I remember Nikija Mombasa, I slow down. I know the world is not ending today. But in Nairobi, we were bumping one another and all kinds of things, All right? I've seen people pushed off the car at the crossings by another fellow who thinks he's in a hurry, isn't it? Behavior patterns. We need to look at that. All right? People, I live in a country, very interesting country. It's a country that is pulling itself by its bootstraps from a deep hole, Rwanda. Very deep hole. Remember, for 100 days, those guys killed one another every day. And not with a bullet, with a panga. Right? Engineer Omer. Assume you're living in Rwanda during those days. You're a young man. Your mother cooks ugali for you to prepare you, and you clean his panga that he brought home, dripping of blood, prepare you to go. They call public service, community service, umuganda. To go tomorrow to do umuganda, harvest heads. And he comes back home in the evening with a dripping panga. 100 days of madness. Eh? That's why they say the devil that time settled in Rwanda. Eh? All right. Eh? So I've seen an interesting country. I live there. Every Thursday. And you know, we want to think about drastic things like this. And I think this really I'm addressing the members of parliament on Ramonaika, because you're the ones who move registration. In that country, every Thursday is a day they call the Munyarwanda. They're Bantus like us. The Munyarwanda, Ameru will understand what that means. All right? Or Kikuyu, the Munyarwanda, they call themselves. I am a Rwandan. So every Thursday from 2 o'clock, their whole country shuts down. So they can be taught what it is to be a Rwandan, to be with nationalism. Their whole country. Every person has to sit and learn their history, and learn their vision, and learn the value of peace and togetherness in that country. So you're going to get out of that hole, eh? All right? All right. Do we ever do that in this country? Has any of you in your living history ever been taught about the value of being a Kenyan? Any? Have you? Has anybody ever told you about the value of being a Kenyan? Have you? Yeah. Huh? So we need to analyze behavior patterns. Why are passengers at risk? Behavior, tabia, jaywalking, impatience, drunkenness. Motorcyclists are the second highest people at risk, 28%. And then passengers, we've always asked, why do you go into a matatu that is already overloaded? Really? And your life is worth being late? Next slide, very quickly. Next slide. I hear a lot of noise on the chairs. I can tell people are getting a bit tired of this lecture, but we'll finish. Bear with me. We're almost there. We're almost there. Road fatalities in the year 2020-21. You can see the only negative variance we have there is pedal cyclists at -3. All the others are huge figures. Eh? Drivers grew by 28%, passengers 32%, motorcyclists 11%, pedestrians 12%. So in an intervention of 50% reduction, this is the groups you're going to address. We have to analyze and understand why it happens, and I'm persuaded these are issues of behavior patterns. Okay, and then the pie chart. The pie chart shows you, because now we're covering a whole year, 2019. Motorcyclists 30%, pedestrians 39%, 2020, it goes up. Motorcyclists 40%, pedestrians 35%. Those are our risk groups. And drivers, as it happened in an accident in Bere, where a driver drove his car, he ran out of petrol, he parked it on a hill, they went and got petrol, and he was carrying senior citizens, taking them to go and collect their money. You heard that story, eh? Yeah, so he came back and fueled the car, tried to kick it, and of course these old cars with the old distributors and whatever, eh? So the car could not start. So they decided to start it on the gear. And the guy engages the gear stick, of course the car started rolling backwards. And the car did start. He sort of panicked, right? Rather than doing the normal thing, you know, you do the clutch, put on the brake, and engage first gear, he jumped out of the car and saved himself, and my goodness, we lost 17 lives that day of senior citizens. Eh? So you can see this issue about drivers, I've seen it. A driver is about to crash, he protects himself with the passengers. All right. And we need to train our drivers, like pilots. You must be the last person out of that matatu. This is behavior training. All right. You don't just give him a license. You must make sure he has a code of conduct, ethics, and integrity. You're the last person out. You're the rescue team. Have you seen that in the accidents we have these days? Drivers hardly ever die. Wanajichunga wao wenyewe, and they're the ones putting you at risk. So we need analysis, not just a figure 50%. Now, this story of Mombasa, next slide. The story of Mombasa, angalieni hapa. Mombasa is somewhere in the middle, eh? Mombasa is somewhere in the middle. They have 42 deaths and below. compared to Nairobi at the very top with 481. All right? January to 31st December 2020, they have 481 deaths daily. People. Mombasa has 42. Why? Why? And if you don't believe it, look at a town like Meru. What is it doing up there at the very top? It's a very small town. And Machakos. What is it doing there at the very top? Mombasa is somewhere in the middle, featuring confident with Akina Nyandaro, the only Abele, Abana is Embu, and a rock. And a rock. And how about Makueni? Why is Makueni a danger spot? So we stop generalizing these things. Accidents don't just happen. They're driven by behavior and circumstances. Like Makueni. Clearly, Makueni must be that hill on Mombasa Road. You know it, where trucks begin to drive backwards, go backwards, or where they overtake very careless. They have those reports. And you know, this is an interesting thing. It happens, and I'm called and I'm told, Professor, do something. Goodness, eh? This guy is a miracle worker. Huh? Do something about a crazy fella overtaking on the wrong side of the road. Do something. And the something you want me to do is put bumps that are going to cause more problems, eh? Rather than what? We teach our people. We rescue their minds. Can you see that? So accidents are not a function of size. Let's not cheat ourselves in here, because I know that's how the analysis goes. Eh? The higher the population, the more the accidents. The bigger the city, the more the accidents. Well, Mombasa is big, right? Mombasa is big, and it has 10 times less the challenge than Nairobi. No. Can you see? Statistics don't lie. 10 times less. So in Mombasa, in my notes here, I'm saying behavior from what I've observed. Mheshimiwa Mwinyi can tell us different, but behavior, nilisema hawa watu ni wastaarabu. They're taught that there's a sense to have respect and good mannerisms. Alright? So you just came to Mombasa, and maybe I don't know Mombasa very well. But in Nairobi, today in the morning when I was coming to the airport, there's a fellow who was driving on the right-hand side, someone here gave the right. Alright? And so we overtook him. And the next minute, and I was wondering, what is the problem? We've overtaken you fairly. And he went on, no! So I was asking the driver, did you do anything wrong? I asked the bodyguard, what happened? Huh? And the conclusion was, ameamka na wewe. You understand? We need to be wangwana, for God's sake. So don't make noise at people. Eh? And what are you doing on the right-hand side anyway, driving at 0 speed? Eh? So behavior, people, behavior, enforcement. These are skies in Mombasa and Mwinyi. Tufanya hii kitu ya best practices. Job. Best practices. Why are city council skies in Mombasa so well behaved? So well behaved. And they are respected. Kama India wanafunga hapa. I hear, I don't know, there's a place they close in here so the governor can go home or something. And those are stories I hear. Wanafunga, and then a PS card says, I'm late to go to the airport. They open you pass. Very respectful characters. And the people respect it. In Nairobi, you open for that PS, everybody passes through. Sindio? Is this true, people? Am I telling you stories? It's a reality, isn't it? Eh? So who is the problem? It's ourselves. Tunajijua. And then also the design of walkways. The design of walkways. You must design walkways that give passengers dignity, that give them room. Don't give us a walkway that is 2 meters. When we are 10 people, that should be wide. All right? There should be places where, you know, and you know what we do in the walkways, eh? As I'm walking, I meet my friend who I've met for a long time. Hey, Wadiomo. All right? And we chat, isn't it? Eh? So there should be room for us to chat and other people to pass around, isn't it? Eh? What is the other thing? People tell me. Who is this who's taught us that the way to do business is to do hawking? You think you're the very first people in this world to do hawking? Do you think so? I went to Dubai. And I know here people love to go to Dubai. So I'm not going to ask who's been to Dubai. All people here have been to Dubai. Yeah? Na tunaenda, na tunaona, and we don't learn. In Dubai, they have kiosks. They have kiosks in Dubai. Nicely organized, spaced out, every 3 meters. Very nicely designed. Right? You know they have a marina in Dubai, yeah? Where they have that estuary coming into Dubai. They have a marina they built in there where you have a lot of boating going on, and a whole series of restaurants. You know, I found these are very smart characters because they build restaurants, they guarantee the restaurant owners of a market by bringing boating activities, by bringing groceries, bring groceries in here, so everybody walks there. Even I walk there for 1 hour. You see, I also sucked in to spend my money in there. So they have kiosks. They're doing good business. Those kiosks pay tax. You're guaranteed of a good income. You know, we need to seize this poverty mentality. You're not born to be poor. You may be born with very little. You know, the shame of our country is there's hardly anybody who is my age. I'm 63 years old now. There's hardly anybody who is my age who grew up with money in this country. Don't cheat us, eh? Kenya in 1963 was poor kabisa if you're an African. Sindio mzee? Poor kabisa. Yeah. The average child these days, even from Madare, has at least 6 pairs of shoes. Rubber shoes, leather shoes, mutumba this, mutumba that. We grew up with nothing. One set of clothes, wengine ni sandals, from class 1 to wherever. You got it. Alright? So this funny mentality that we are poor, so I can break rules and have my kiosk everywhere. Alright? That I see Mr. Court and you want to be facilitated. We need to talk to ourselves. So walkways, enforcement, and then behavior patterns. And of course, for the case of Makueni, circumstance. Alright? You can jump the next one because it's the same thing. Oh no, the next one is important. Let's go back to it. I wanted to give an example of Makueni. You can see the accident rates in Makueni has gone down. That may be because of those telephone calls. Maybe we put some policemen in there to enforce it. And if you can respect rules when you see a policeman, it means if we tweak your head and you understand the value of obedience, then you behave yourself on a full-time basis. Next slide. Now these are monthly fatalities. Monthly fatalities to compare in 2 years, 2020 and 2021. And I want to ask you, what's the miracle of the tail end on the right-hand side of what you're seeing? And here on the left-hand side, on this side, yeah, on the right-hand side. Again, the right-hand side. Yes, your right-hand side. What's the miracle on the right-hand side? What initiatives that have been taken to cause this decline? Whereas the rest of the graph, line graph, is showing us a positive variance. Blue is 2020, red is 2021. And you see it's running away. There's an increase in fatalities. What has happened uniquely that in the months where we have a lot of accidents, September, October, November, all right, there is a clear reduction in accidents. If anybody wants to give us an answer for the 50%, here, in this conference, if this is what we're actually discussing, somebody must analyze what happened, what behavior changes, what user patterns, right? What infrastructural type occasioned this reduction? That's where the answer is. In the absence, the 50% reduction is just a cliche. Okay, next slide, very interesting patterns again. That I said I want us to understand data-driven decision making, not pronouncements. Can you see? When in the non-visibility period of 5 in the evening to 8 o'clock in the evening, we have 66.2% of the fatalities. So there's something about accidents and your sight lines. And I'm getting old, so I'm even more challenged in my eyes. I can tell you, after 6 o'clock, I don't drive. I don't pretend. Yeah, can we be honest? In the UK, when you're 80 years old, you drive license. When do they take your driving license? 70 years old? Right? You have to prove your mind is right and your eyes are right to drive. Do we take those driving licenses here? And we know this guy is coming. So 5 to 6 is when we have accidents. So if you are going to police and monitor people to make sure we reduce accidents, that is when we flood our cities with policemen, isn't it? Yeah, and then if we are going to talk to people, we should be telling them. That's the same way you tell people, you pass through this jungle, you're likely to be attacked. I know we protect our girls in Kenya desperately. We tell them, be home by 5, because nighttime is dangerous time, don't we? We should be telling people, try not to be in the streets at this time of the night. All right, visibility period, and it's a longer period. Look at it, from 1 up to 5. Very few accidents, and it climbs up, and then it comes down again. All right, what is unique about those periods? What is unique? And we can't talk about traffic jams, because in the morning we're going to work, isn't it? We don't have accidents. The initial visibility. So feed it back into the design of roads. We need to avoid corners that cannot be seen, isn't it? Yes. So there's a number of design in here. But most of this is behavior. Behavior. We have to slow down traffic in the evenings. We must. All right? Or maybe design. Roads are not visible. And by the way, talk about that. When I drive along Thika Road, there are places where there are no street lights, so your reflectors cannot be seen. All right? There are no road markings. You know, we've been having these arguments. You put a road under maintenance, and you're telling me that you will mark it when you finish the maintenance. In the meantime, it is being used by people. What do you expect? You're going to have accidents, isn't it? You have to mark the lanes. And this is not something to argue about. So if you don't want to have accidents, close the road completely. Okay? So we need to look at these patterns. We need to recognize people in the evening are tired and they're not alert. All right? We also need to recognize, for example, how watu wameraa. And I think Mheshimiwa Mwinyi and Naika, tafadhali munisaidie. Do we have people in Kenya who are above the law? Wapo? Wapo kama watu wameraa? They're above the law. Then please, the next time, because you're both going back to Parliament, tusaidie. Let me tell you, every time I drive home, almost every time, these guys drive me off the road. Every time. Tuesday, I was inspecting Kenomaro Road. And we sent policemen to block the road so that we can drive over it and actually test how the road is. So they're running with 2 police commissioners, and the fellas come in full lights. And we stopped the road. They didn't stop. They almost hit us. So we stopped them finally. They saw those coffees. We stopped them. And they saw their car and they came out. You know, they're sweating, they're charged. And guess what they were doing? They were chewing mirror. We went close to their car. They had bomb in there. So they're breaking every possible law. They're over speeding. They have their lights on. They're driving anywhere. They're chewing mirror. They're drunk. And I keep asking the police commissioners in Embu, in Kirinyaga, and in Murang'a, are these fellas above the law? Is there any reason why you can't arrest this character? You're not. Have you given them immunity in your side of the country? Okay. Anyhow, we're almost there. Contribution of the last 3 slides. Contribution to fatalities. Also, we have what you call daily patterns. On Sunday, Sunday is our most dangerous day in this country. Sunday is our most dangerous day. We have the most fatalities. No, Saturday is our most dangerous day. And your guess is as good as mine. The road to the Rift Valley is packed full. The road to Mombasa is packed full. The road to Central is packed full on Saturday. And we are all in a hurry to go and look after our goats and catch up with our shambas. We are in a hurry. And we are reckless. And we are not going to stop those patterns because, you know, one thing I like about Kenya is everybody has a shot. It gives us some identity. It's very good. But if you're going to address this reduction, then you need to talk to those people going up country. All right? And understand how you tame their appetite for speed. We'll be practical, not theory. We don't put up a poster saying, this year our target is 50% reduction. Apana. Identify driver behavior. Driver behavior. Sunday is our next most dangerous day when they're rushing back to work late at night. In fact, we get serious traffic jams on all those 3 roads. starting 6 in the evening. We may need to encourage people to come back a bit earlier, maybe, I don't know. And then of course, Tuesday is our best day, and I think by then we don't have petrol money, so there are very few vehicles on the road. I don't know. Okay? What is the age set that is at risk? Next graph. There you are. The people who hurt us most when they die between the ages of 15 and 44. Our children. So, I challenge you. This age set is not a matter for JAO. This is not a matter for government. These are domestic issues. You can talk to your child. We can take responsibility. Like we can stop these kids of 15 to 25 from driving cars when they're not ready. When they're not ready. But yet, what do? We buy them cars. We buy them cars. And I think anybody again here who's my age who's made that mistake. I have made that mistake. I made that mistake. I've given my son a car, and within a short while, he calls me in the evening and says, I have an accident. And I hope, like me, you learned. He never touched that car again. That's clear. With the next car you touch, you buy it with your own money. All right. So this is something we can address in families. Yeah. We are looking for a response here. This is not really a matter of public sensation because all these people are locked up in a family setting. They're still under mentorship. All right. Okay. The lower age set sometimes is primarily recklessness and frequency of vehicle use. Younger people do a lot of unnecessary trips, visiting one another. Wrong time of the day, wrong time of the night. And then the upper bracket of 44 years is a frequency because this is an active working generation. But we talk to them. So we study their lifestyles, we study their user patterns, we look at their trip orientations. Those details will give us the answers, engineer. Right? Distribution by gender. This is the second last one. Distribution by gender. Distribution by gender. And you can see, man, where I was telling you, you're not a factor of life. You're not. Because Kenya's population has moved from 38 million to 40 million, and now we're going to 50 million. And we are increasingly losing 83% of the men are at risk in 2019, 84% contribution in 2020. It is still going up to 84.9% in 2021, and God help us, wherever we are headed. But the population is still growing. Unfortunately, you're leaving families that are broken. If you don't care about yourself, think about your families. Think about your families. You're overloading older people like us, and we have to bring up our grandchildren when we should be retired. Right? You're disorganizing the minds of young people who don't have a sense of fatherhood. Because you died. You died. You died. But why are women not at risk and men are at risk? We analyze it. Why are men at a higher risk than women? I think we have more men drivers than women, isn't it? Isn't it? Am I right? Chair. Yeah, there are more male drivers than women. And those male drivers are not driving matatus, so they protect the women. You're not going to turn your car so that your wife dies. You behave a bit different from the matatu driving. All right. Again, I think men are making more frequent trips. They're more regular road users. Okay. A lot of women do domestic runs in the neighborhood. And men do cross-country, cross-city runs. Women will not drive in dangerous places. I haven't heard a middle-class woman saying, I'm going shopping in Madare. Have you ever heard of that? But even Mwangi goes to Korogosh. I put on my coffee and I go to Korogosh. There's a kid I'm following up who needs to be mentored. Women don't do those sort of things. So we study gender behavior. All right? We study gender behavior. Remember, even if we are not a factor of population, we are a definition of a stable society. The father figure is very important. Something I was told when I got my firstborn child, I was told, this child owns you for the next 26 years. and you have a right to stay alive. You have a responsibility to stay alive for that kid. Then I got older, my kids got to their 20s, and I was reminded their children need a grandfather. Stay alive. Remember that. You don't have the option to die, not yet. And then we look at the last ones, fatalities due to motorcycles. Fatalities due to motorcycles, the very last one. Fatalities due to motorcycles. And here I observe a very interesting pattern. You know this thing I called you riding pillion. Riding pillion. Parents who know riding pillions, I know are suffering like I am. They have a son somewhere riding a motorbike. And we pray for him every night. Riding pillion is having a rider behind you. All right, eh? And this is not the border thing, eh? Even though this includes the border thing. It's riding pillion. You can see something very strange. Riding pillion starts off being safe in 2010. All right? Then it becomes very unsafe in 2016 and 2017. But the drivers are even safer, and suddenly they're becoming safer again. Eh? Somebody needs to analyze this pattern. What happened in 2016 that didn't happen in 2010? And then how did we recover their safety? I have noticed that most people who ride pillion these days wear safety gear. They have their own personal helmets. You've done a very good job. They're buying their own helmets. They're not depending on the rider. In fact, I've seen like these private motorbike riders, they don't just wear safety headgear. They're wearing pads on their elbows and their knees, and they're wearing good boots. So it means education makes sense. It works. It works. But I've also seen most riders who are doing pillion actually ride pillion with particular people. So, and they're in a group, they're in a committee. They actually sit and educate one another. All right? Courtesy of one of your former directors. Yes. He started those sort of groups, which was very credible. He was an NTSA person. Okay. But I have a very sad story to share in here. I have my niece, who I took through school, invested heavily. She's a very sharp girl, determined to become a somebody. I took through school, took through industrial attachment, internship, and we got an international job for this girl. She's just waiting for a good salary, 200,000 shillings a month. And then one day she's riding pillion, no helmet, all right? Wherever she was going, she was dressed up in a miniskirt, so she can't straddle the bike yet. She was sitting sideways, looking pretty, and a Bora came and cut in front of them, and the girl was thrown out of the vehicle, landed onto a stone, and the next minute, I was in a public meeting in Sharks, and I was called and I was told your daughter is in hospital in a concussion. 3 days in a concussion. Right? Yesterday, the day before yesterday, she wrote to me and told me, Daddy, I haven't seen you for a long time. She says, because you see, she's recovering. She doesn't realize it. She says, I haven't seen you for 1 year. And that was a career terminated. She was working. That was terminated 3 months later. Right? The employment put on hold. Right? We've had to take her through several surgeries. These things are real, and they'll touch every one of us if we don't take them seriously. They're real. And it's very